All right, so we're just going to pick up with where we left off. We were talking about hyperbolas. I didn't quite get finished drawing mine, but that's okay. You shall see. Unfreeze! Okay. So, which direction should my graph open? Up, down, or left to right? Left to right, because it is the x that is squared. Remember, it's that first guy that determines your direction. So since the x is the positive, and you can tell also up here, x is the positive number, this is the direction that I'm graphing. And then please, 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 please pay very close attention. Your vertex is a point that your graph has to go through. It's not optional. I was looking at some folks' work, and they weren't quite sure if it was the vertex or the focus. You have to go through the vertex. And remember, always fill out whatever grid you have. So through the vertex, kind of snuggling up against those asymptotes, getting nice and comfy there. And then I think a lot of people were thrown off by the fact that it equaled 1 in the end. That get a little bit confusing for some people? No? Good. Well, for those that did, that's okay. That just means that the numbers that each of my fractions are over are going to be 1. So it means A is 1, B is 1, and C would then be the square root of 2. So the square root of 2 is going to be a little bit over 1, so my focus is going to be right there. All right? And you can see down here, I've got all of my points listed. So take a look at those. How are we doing? No? Well, what's your questions? Where did we go wrong?
So, it was like a negative y squared.
Uh-huh.
So you just take out the negative?
You take out the negative from anything that has a y next to it. And then when you complete the square, you just remember that that negative was there. So when I completed it with the 25, I actually put in a negative 25 to my equation. So I'm going to put a negative 25 on the other side.
But that doesn't change the fact that it's like a subtraction.
Nope. Okay. All right. So we weren't able to get into talking about the characteristics, and I kind of want to use this lesson as kind of to tell you how your tests are going to be broken up. Your test is not going to be broken up into circles, ellipses, hyperbolas, parabolas. What it's going to be broken up into is skills for all of your conic sections. So for the first one, you might have something like what we started with, where here's the equation, graph it. Then you might have, here's the graph, write the equation. You will have problems where you're going to have to find all of your pieces. And then, of course, you're going to have problems that have to deal with, here's my equation, write it in standard form. The thing that you need to know about all of these, they will not tell you which conic section it is. The only case that you will be told which conic section you're dealing with is when we're talking about these types of problems, where it's, here are some characteristics, write the equation. Because, well, 3 out of the 4 have centers. 3 of the 4 have vertices. 3 out of the 4 have foci. So unless I tell you what it is, you're not going to be able to do it. So for these guys, you will be told what conic section it is. Does that make sense what I'm trying to clarify here? All right, so let's go through this problem. And when I'm doing a hyperbola, if you are a very visual person, go ahead and sketch it. That's fine. Say, okay, I know for this problem, my center is going to be -2, +1. So that's going to be my center. I know my focus is at -2, 6. And I know that my vertex is at -2, 4. That I wrote the 4 instead of a V. So with that information, and it's not really that much, can you tell me which direction my hyperbola is going to open? Up and down. Yeah, so it will kind of go that way that way, and then I'll have something else on this side. That's the only thing I really needed to draw the picture for, was to kind of figure out which direction it was going, because for hyperbola, which direction it opens tells me which variable goes first. So when I'm talking about my conic section for this guy, the general setup for all of my hyperbolas, they all have that in common. Because it opens up and down, which coordinate is going to go first here? Which y? That means this is x. So we have the center is -2, 1. So be very careful when you're talking about order. What number is going to go here? -1, right. It's just a lot of people automatically want to put the x first. So just be careful. And then what number goes here? +2. So now all I need to find are the numbers that go in the denominators. So, alrighty, let's see here. From center to focus, is that A, B, or C? That is C. Okay? Who is changing in this? The y is changing. So that means the A, the y will change. How much does the C change? 5. Okay? From the center to the vertex, what letter is that? A, B, or C? A. And which value changed? The y, which we already said. How much? 3. Yay! Happy Wednesday. No, we're all dead to the world today. Caitlin's like, look like you're struggling over there. I'm awake, I swear, I swear. All right, so what number goes here? 9. Got one person who's awake. All right, how do I figure out what B is, or what number goes here? Yeah, it's pretty much the Pythagorean theorem, isn't it? So I'm going to have A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So A squared is 9. B squared, I don't know. What is C squared? 25. So what am I missing? 16. And the reason why I'm only worried about 16 is because I don't need to find out what B is. I just need to put B squared there. So save yourself some effort. I know where she was going with it. 3, 4, 5. I know where she was going. She's good. All right. So for this next problem, I want you guys to figure out where your center is and which direction it opens. Okay, go for it. Find out your center and which direction we open. As I throw my pen all over the room. So if you need a picture for this, you can draw one. You don't really need one, so it depends upon what you want to do. But where is my center going to be? -3, 2. How'd you find that? Midpoint. Midpoint of my two vertices gives me my center. So my center is at -3, 2. And actually for this, you see how my x stays the same and the y is what changes? It's the y is the direction that we're opening in. So can you tell me what variable is going to go first? Y. Y goes first because that is the direction that it opens. So I'll have y. That'll be x. So what number is going to go next to the y? -2. Next to the x? +3. All right, so once I have the center, I can just think about it as how far am I moving from the center. So from the center to a vertex, either one, doesn't matter. How far do you move? 7. So if I move 7, that is what? A, B, or C? A, because to move to the vertex, that is A, and that's being done to the y coordinate. So that means where am I going to put a number dealing with 7? Under the y, and what am I going to put here? 4 to 9. Now then they give me this weird little thing. Length of the conjugate axis. The length of the conjugate axis, remember when we're drawing our box to make this happen, the conjugate axis is how far it goes side to side, the non-opening direction. And if that is 8, am I going to find B or C? B. What is B? 4. So do I need to find C?
No.
Nope. What goes here? 16. So when we're looking at this, the conjugate axis is the one that goes the direction it doesn't open. Transverse, the direction it does open. Okay? So we've got 2 more problems here. Give it a shot. Do it. Okay, we're all good. What? What? Alrighty, so here come the answers. Did you guys get 9 done? Yes! I like the enthusiasm. There's number 9. Woot woot! Look, it's 7:57. Oh, I like it. Did you guys get number 10?
Yes.
Boom.
What?
Or maybe not.
I forgot how to
I forgot to square C.
Are there questions on this? I'd be more than happy to help. What?
I don't know.
Okay. Did you have the center correct?
Yes.
You got the center correct. So then if I go from the center to the focus, that's a difference of 5. And to the focus, that is C.
That makes sense.
Okay? Whereas the center to the vertex is A. It is, when you're thinking the B, that's the endpoints of the conjugate axis. Okay? So they don't have that here. So focus is C, vertex is A. Okay? Vincent, you look like you're just beyond excited to be here today. Well, I'm not, so there. Alrighty, so we're going to move on a little bit, and I've got some notes for you. Oh, chillax. This is kind of like a warm-up, please. And basically what I'm going to do, I'm not checking homework tonight, well, today, because look around. I know, you're here. That's special. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to add these 2 problems to your homework, 19 and 21. I will check it next class. Okay? Yes. If it says get your own darn graph paper. Print it off the computer. All right. So you have, I'm asking you to put 2 more questions on. Now that we've done here are the characteristics, write the equation. All right. And I'm going to come around and I'm going to give you the next set of notes. Your warm-up is actually on this with a little bit of graph paper. I didn't say I'm feeling generous today. I'm never generous. I'm a horrible person. Now, we're not going to get through all of the parabola notes today. That's perfectly fine. We're going to get a good start on it. So, what I'd like you all to do right now is I want you to do number 1 and 2. And I believe that there is a typo on your number 2. So please put that square in there. For number 2, I need that square put in on the y. But there is no typo on 3, 4, 5, or 6. So when you're looking at those problems, just know they're all correct. Okay? Yes, we just did this. So go ahead and get started on that. You're welcome to work together, compare your answers. Feedback! Sorry about that. Ow, that was painful. Hi. Sorry about that. All right, let's take a look at the first two. Did I just wake? Are you awake? Are you awake now? No, I burst all your brain cells. Okay. So taking a look at numbers 1 and 2. Merp, 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 merp. Trying to read facial expressions. I'm seeing lots of people writing stuff down. Did you not finish? You forgot to do the asymptote. Okay. Do we understand where the asymptote comes from? Okay. Jaden, what are you grumbling about? Do you understand where my asymptote comes from?
Yes. This is like y minus.
Y minus the y coordinate, x minus the x coordinate.
Yeah, so you take it
From the center. Yeah.
oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I see where I was looking at the wrong thing when I saw this. I was saying.
Okay. You still got minus 16.
Okay, so like on the second one, I did not get 16 under
What did you have underneath?
4,
And what did you have underneath on the other one?
1,
What did you have on this side before you divided?
4 divided,
Uh-huh.
4.
That's why. Because when you go through and you complete the square on this one, so let me just pull this separately and we'll work it from the beginning. So we will have rearranging x squared plus 4x minus 4y squared plus 8y, and I'll have equals a positive 16 on that side. The first thing you're going to do is pull that negative 4 out. So you will have y squared, and then what's going to go here? What's going to go here? Minus 2. Because I'm dividing that negative 4 out. Does that make sense what I'm talking about here? When you have that coefficient, you take it out of the both y terms. And then I just have this stuff, which really doesn't need to be in parentheses, but I'm going to do that so that I can kind of see what's going on. So now what is half of this? Half of that. 2 squared 4. What did I just put into my equation? 4. I didn't change anything. It was just the 4. So then I'm going to do this one. Half of that minus 1 squared plus 1. But what did I just put into my equation? Minus 4. So that's equal to 16 now.
I just like skipped right to like the third step instead of doing like the.
Did you make a mistake with these numbers though? So that's where you've got to be careful. I always write this stuff down, not because I'm a teacher, I'm going to write all the steps. I will make mistakes if I don't do that. Okay? So just try to avoid your mistakes as much as possible. Now that you have 16, I can divide everything through by it. And so I have x plus 2 squared over 16. I kind of want to point this out because I saw this on the quizzes for hyperbolas, for circles and ellipses. The only thing that's squared is the numerator. Those parentheses do not go around the whole fraction. So be real careful with that, because I saw quite a few folks who were putting that parenthesis around the whole fraction, and that completely changes your answer. That's what you're supposed to have. Okay? Get this guy. Any other questions on 1 and 2? Yes, ma'am. No? You sure? Okay. All right, I wanted to kind of work through 3, 4, 5, and 6 with you. And I want you to look. What do you think is important in number 3? Things that might affect my answer. The x squared and the y squared, and I heard one other. The plus. The plus is very, very important here. And then we look at the coefficients. So I have x squared and y squared with a plus. That's going to narrow me down to what or what? Circle or ellipse. Then I look at these numbers. So what is that going to be? That is a circle. X and y are both squared with a plus between them and coefficients are identical. That's a circle. What's important on number 4? Yep, we still have squares, but this time I have a negative. So what does that tell me? Hyperbola. Hyperbola, we don't care whether these numbers are the same or different. We only care about that minus sign. Okay? Then we look at the third one. What's important here? Yep, we've got addition. So we still have x and y squared. We have a plus, but these two numbers are different. What does that make this one? An ellipse. Now I want you to look at the last one. Why do you think people might think there's a typo in the last one? There's only one thing that's squared, and that's the x. This is done on purpose, and technically if you see that, you would have just combined like terms and said, oh, okay, minus 18y. When you only have one variable squared, that automatically makes this a parabola. Okay? And it's this one that we're talking about today. And by the way, you will have a section on your test, which is just simply what we just did. Tell me what it is. Easy peasy, right? Okay, so I'm going to warn you. In my opinion, the parabolas are the hardest ones because it's not really like the other guys. But at the same time, you've dealt with parabolas before. So some of it will be familiar, some of it will be weird. Some of them have strange labels. And the latus rectum is a major pain in... Yes. President Ferreira. Okay, then we've got that special. All right, so what a parabola is kind of a weirder guy. It's kind of like a hyperbola, but it's only half of that. And for a parabola, the pieces that we don't have a center. For a parabola, we have just a vertex. And then, like we did for hyperbolas, inside the parabola opens to the focus. But we have something a little bit different here. Behind the vertex, the same distance as it takes you to get to the focus, is something called the directrix. Okay? Now, I don't know really why. I think I pulled these pictures from a different textbook, but I'm going to come look down here. For our sake, we're always going to be calling this little piece, instead of A, because A makes it sound like the things that we have for circles, ellipses, and hyperbolas, we're going to call this a P. So the distance that you travel from your vertex to your focus, that's P. And that's actually a positive P, or a plus P. And the distance you travel to your directrix is a negative P. Now, when we're dealing with a parabola in standard form, we're going to have basically all the stuff that deals with x on one side, everything else on the other. But I want you to notice one very key fact. What number is in front of the y? 1. Has to have a 1 there. And so sometimes we're going to have to get rid of that number if something is there. So when you're starting with a parabola, you pull your vertex out. Your vertex is always at h, k. So you start by pulling your vertex out. It's basically the center that you would have dealt with on anything else. Okay? Then what you do is you look at the number that is in front of your x squared. And you use that number to figure out what your p is. So you will say 1 over 4p is equal to whatever number you see there, and you'll have to solve for the p. Now, your graph is going to open up if your p is positive. Your graph is going to open down if your p is negative. Now, for your focus and directrix, they are both changing the coordinate here that is not squared. Okay? So you're going to look at your equation, you're going to say, okay, which variable is not squared? Y is not squared. So for my focus, I'm going to add p to the y. I'm going to subtract p to the y. And the directrix is an equation of a line, and so it's just y equals whatever that is. Okay, the lattice rectum is a pain in the butt. Hee hee, hee hee hee. No, not funny. Third block could not stop cracking up the entire time we were doing this. They just thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
We're more mature.
Sure you are. You're more mature. No. Okay. So what you're going to do is for the lattice rectum helps you determine 2 points that are going to be on your parabola other than the vertex. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take p, you're going to go up to your focus, and then you're going to go out p and out p again. Out p and out p again. Yes, lattice rectum and p's. It's all good. Okay? And that's going to tell me 2 points that no matter what are going to be on my parabola. So that's what they're saying. They're saying go out to your focus and you're going to add and subtract 2p from the other coordinate. And yes, this is one of those things where it's like, what? But when we start doing it, it'll be a little bit easier when we do it than versus when we try to explain it. Now, another thing that you can think about is when you're in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, all of your parabolas have what variable squared? X. So that means when your x is squared, you're looking for your standard parabola, doing what it usually did in all those other classes, opening up or down. Okay? But if your x isn't the guy that's squared, when your y is the one that is actually squared, things get a little bit funkier looking. It doesn't change any of your rules. It just so happens that instead of opening up or down, we're going to open either right or left. Okay? So it doesn't open up and down because we don't have an up and down going left to right. It's going to open right. When do you think it's going to open right? When your p is positive. It's going to open left when p is negative. Now your focus and your directrix. Those are the guys that are dealing with the p. They are both always going to the not squared value. So it just happens that in this one, the not squared one was y. In this one, the not squared one is x. And you always add p, whatever it is, to get your focus. You're going to subtract p to get your directrix. And for your Latus Rectum, you go to your focus, which was just 1p that way, so this is my focus. And then I'm going to go 1, 2p out for a point, 1, 2p out for a point. And on yours, for some reason, this p was left off, so please fix your notes so that it says plus or minus 2p rather than just 2. It's not going to be that bad. Honestly, I think the Latus Rectum is the hardest part. Okay? So a couple people still writing that stuff down. There is no way we are getting through all of this today, so don't freak out. We're going to spend next class finishing up parabolas. And I actually think I am moving when your guys' test is. So that's not the right class. We're doing that because third block had their full flex yesterday. So they're like a block ahead of you. So you're just going to be out of sync until you guys have your flex. Okay? So you are going to be finishing up parabolas on Friday. And then on Tuesday, you're going to have your review. And Thursday, you're going to have your test. When is the flex for second block? 5. So, yeah. Okay. So when we get to the time where we have our flex, we'll catch up with them. So you're not behind, you're not ahead. They've just had one more block than you have. Okay? All right, let's actually try to do some of this. And again, this is going to be part of your test, the way it's set up. Part of your test, you're going to be given, here's a picture of your conic section. Write the equation. I can tell that this figure is a parabola because there's only one curve. Can you tell me, looking at this picture, where your vertex is going to be? That is your vertex. The vertex is always on the parabola, the hyperbola, the ellipse. It always touches it. So what is that coordinate? 3, 0. Now, I want to also point something out to you. If we look at this, your vertex and your focus all line up, and it's the same line where my graph could be folded over, so we call that axis of symmetry. So what equation would you give that axis of symmetry? X equals 3. And if you don't remember, there's this awesome little tool to help you. Hoi Vux. A horizontal line has 0 slope and it's y equals your number. A vertical line, like this guy, has an undefined slope and it's x equals your number. All right, so looking at my graph, where is my focus? 3, 3. How far did I move from my vertex to my focus? 3. To get from your vertex to your focus, did you add 3 or subtract 3? Add 3. That's your P. My directrix, on the other hand, is this guy down here. How do I write that? Y equals -3. And to get from the vertex to the directrix, what did you do? You subtract 3. So you add to get to your focus, you subtract to get to your directrix. So I have everything that I need. My graph opens Which direction? Up. So that should also tell me that my P is positive. If my graph opens up, which variable is not squared? Y. And that's your old stuff. That's from like Algebra 2. That's what you're used to. So you'll have Y on one side, you'll have X on the other, and it's the X that's going to be squared. And that's because it opens up. When it opens up, you have the Y. Now, what number am I going to put here? One more time. 0. There you go. So we're going to look at my vertex opposite of the Y coordinate. What's going to go here? -3. Opposite of your X. So just like we did with the other conic sections. And so if P is 3 and this guy right here is 1 over 4P, what am I going to put here? 1 over 12. There's my equation. Okay, so what I want you guys to do for number 2, I want you to find all of the characteristics, and then we'll work through the equation together. Yeah? Okay. So let's take a look at this. Did you find that P was 1? Are you okay with that? Because to go from the vertex to the focus, you add P. Vertex to the axis of symmetry, you subtract P. Okay? So then my equation, which variable is going to go first? X, because of the direction that it opens. X is the non-squared variable. What am I going to put here? +1. What am I going to put here? Either +0 or nothing. I don't care. And what is going to go there? 1 over 4. Beautiful. So far, so good? Okay. I want you guys to find everything for part 3, for number 3. Yeah? Can we go? We feeling confident? Or are we just feeling tired? Both? I can deal with both. I'm quite happy if you've got both. So take a look. And again, remember, to go from the vertex to the focus, it's always adding P. So that means in this time around, the P is a -2. How are you doing with this? I really like going from pictures to equations. To me, I think that's the easiest out of all of them. Second easiest is to go the other direction. I'm going to give you an equation. We're going to draw the picture. Can you control your excitement here? All right, so the first thing that I do, I really need the visual representation for my parabolas. I get so confused without them. But when I'm looking at this equation, the first thing I can figure out is where is my vertex? 0, 0. Boop. So I'm going to plot that sucker. Can you tell me, up, down, left, right, which direction will my graph open? Going to the right. Why is it going to the right? Because you have the y is squared, and that is a positive number. Okay? Now for everything else, we need to grab this guy right here. And that 1/4 is always equal, because it's the formula, to 1 over 4p. I know this is a really hard equation to solve. Can anybody tell me what p is? Oh my goodness, you are just the most brilliant students in the whole wide world. P is 1. Okay, let's be honest. It's not always going to be that straightforward. And if it's not, you just cross multiply and solve. Okay? So P is 1, P is positive. That means for my focus, what am I going to do to get from the vertex to the focus? What do? I add P, and who am I going to be doing that to? To which one? X. Okay, so adding 1 to the X gives me 1, 0. Adding goes right there. How do I go from the vertex to the directrix? The other way. So instead of adding P, we minus P. Also to the X. So this is going to be X equals what? -1. Emma's like, I got it, I got it, I got it. Woo, woo. Okay, there we go. And I know my graph is going to be opening in this direction, but what we don't know is quite how wide it's going to be. So here's the pain in the butt. No? Musical? Yes. So we go out to our focus, and we're going to go 2P up and down. So in the direction of our directrix. So I'm going to go up 2P, down 2P. Those are the points. That's called my lattice rectum. And then I'm just going to draw through those points for my parabola. So those points again. So for this guy, we're going to take the non-squared guy, still just gets P. The squared guy gets plus or minus 2P. Okay? So that means my points are going to be add P, so they're both going to be 1 something. I'm going to add 2P. I'm going to subtract 2P. Okay? All right, let's look at the next one. What should you be able to just look at that, grab it, pull it right off the screen? What can you see? It's negative. Beautiful. What else can you see? The X is squared. So is that going to open up, down, left, right? It's going to open up and down, but specifically because this dude right here is negative, we be opening down. Also easy to pull from this. Where is your vertex? Careful, careful, careful. 1, 4. Over 1, up 4. And I've already said this dude be opening down. So if I have -1/4 is equal to 1 over 4P, what is P? -1. So from the vertex to the focus, we are still adding P, and I'm going to add it to which coordinate? The y, the not squared one. So 1 plus -1 is 0. Go down 1. That is not the y. That is the x. Hi, I'm awesome. Just like to check to make sure you all are paying attention. Thank you. So to the y. 4 plus -1 is trace. All right, how do I get to the directrix? Subtract P. Again to the y. So what is my directrix? Need a little bit more than 5. Y equals 5. It's the equation of a line, and if you just give me 5, 5 is a number. It's not even a point. I need to see the equation of a line. So we've already said the directrix is opening, the parabola is opening down. I have my P is -1. I know where my focus is. What did I change for my focus, the x or the y? The y, so my y here is going to have the same coordinate, 3, for both of these. And I'm going to add and subtract what to the x? 2p. So plus 2, 3 minus 2. Who cares about positive or negative? Because you're doing both of them anyway. All right. How you guys doing with this? I have lost you to the sleepy world again. You had high energy for like 5 minutes there, and then it was gone. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to stop us. Oh, wait, no, I got to draw the picture. So 3, 3, and negative 1, 3. And then I just draw through those. Whoop. Kind of a drunken parabola there, but it's okay. I'm going to actually stop us here because I want to be able to start next class with another one of these graphing problems so that we can kind of do a little bit of a refresher before we move on. So the only thing that you guys have for homework are those 2 additional problems that I added. And if you didn't do your homework yet, hey, do it. Yeah, give me 1 second.